All right, what's up, Giga Gamers? Welcome to the Strat Chat. We're going to be looking at the patch highlights 13.6. Small patch, big changes. So let's take a look. MILIO is live. We're going to be playing him as much as possible, pushing him to the limit. We're going to play with him, against him, every game that we can possibly get live to downstream. So check us out, twitch.tv/gigagamingacademy. Ash was overbuffed. They think it was over nerfed because people aren't adjusting and they're still going W at level 1. Pick Ash, go Q at level 1. It just got buffed by another 5%, so that's 30 extra damage on your all-in at level 1. It's just absolutely phenomenal. It's a very strong pick, so I highly recommend it. Aurelion Sol got nerfed again, still needed nerfs. The big cases that were causing frustration were the E and the R. Too early, too powerful, and too easy to cast from distance. So they are hitting Singularity's cooldown. They're upping it by 2 seconds, meaning that you're not going to get that endgame case where they're overlapping. And Falling Star Sky's Descent is getting a huge nerf. It's still an incredible spell, but basically everything about it is getting nerfed. The duration of the lockup, the cast range, and the amount of Stardust needed to turn it up into Sky's Descent. So Aurelion Sol should finally be in a more reasonable spot. This being said, it's still one of the premier scaling champions, so if you want scaling, you're still going to go Sol. Dr. Mundo is getting some more power away from his level 18 endgame where he truly could go where he pleased, and they're putting some more power into his early game, so the laning phase won't be so bad. The Heart Zapper can be recast a little bit sooner, and the jungle is in a viable choice for Mundo again because they're giving 50% extra damage from Blunt Force Trauma. Galio getting a very nice buff. All right, the extra resistances here going up by 5 per rank and 50% extra bonus scaling on your magic resist. Justice Punch is also getting 1 second off of its cooldown, so you're going to see early fights are going to be a little bit better at that second cast on Justice Punch. You're going to be able to survive for a second rotation. I highly recommend trying out Abyssal Mask and Jaksho as a core to what you're building, and you can go from there and build out based on the matchups at hand. Talon was another champion that was too good, got over-nerfed. They're giving him some power back. The mostly mana, we saw how good the mana changes have been for Fizz and LeBlanc, so expect similar things from Talon. We're seeing this meta, this assassin meta come back into play. They're giving us a lot of changes to the assassins, so keep an eye peeled for your Talons. Vayne, probably the biggest set of buffs, although it comes with a big price. So base movement speed going up by 15 on the passive. This is enormous. This is the difference between catching and not catching a champion. The problem is that most champions that have been made since Vayne have dashes, or 2 dashes, or 3, or Akali. And so the extra movement speed hasn't been enough. But 15 is a big number. She should be able to hunt down any target that she wants. But because that buff is so big and so impactful, especially in top lane in a 1v1 matchup, they're taking away some of the power in Silver Bolts. It's better at the first rank, but it's worst at the final rank. So the ability to shred through the Mundos of the world in the endgame going down a bit. It's still going to be elite, and she's still going to be best in slot for accomplishing that, but there's definitely a takeaway. Also, the Q has a tremendous buff. 15 extra % scaling on your AD at rank 1. And 35 at rank 5. So that is a tremendous difference. This should move her out of on-hit abilities, and you should be using the extra power that you get from the ultimate and the ability to go something like Infinity Edge or an Avoid Quick Blades. We're going to take a look at those changes later and just go in and rip. The big change, the payoff, or the difference is that you can't just tumble and stay in Viz and still get that huge proc. You need to attack within 3 seconds now if you want it, which in 99% of cases is what you were doing anyways. So overall, buffs to the champion should be interesting. Might show up in top lane more than in bot lane. She's still going to have those range disadvantages. But there's also a meta shift that's going to work towards her advantage that we'll see in a bit. Veigar, we talked about it in the last patch. Anytime you make a systemic change to a champion, in the case of Veigar, they just added 100 range to their abilities. it changes the champion. And we've seen Veigar just dominating in 3 different roles. Mid, bot, support. It's been doing fantastic. They're hitting especially the bot lane by removing 25 health and 3 armor, so it's a little bit more susceptible to those all-ins, especially before you get those stacks off. Very, very susceptible. If you see a Veigar in your lane, you should attack them. Dark Matter also losing 15 base damage early, but getting it back later. But this was the spell that you tended to get last, at least in mid lane. Sometimes your carry builds wanted to get the points here just so you can get better wave clear. But either way, this is going to be a nerf overall. Big time to the champion. Exploit it in lane because it might be too late after that. Yuumi. We got to talk. Riot. Cut it out. Stop trying to balance the champion. Really, don't even try to balance them. Please just give us a noob-friendly champion that doesn't need to be balanced for competitive play. It is meant for iron and lower, that you are showing people the game. And it's like, hey, play this champion, jump on my back, we'll play, we'll have a good time, and you can learn about the game. That's what I envision Yuumi being. Instead, they keep on trying to like change it and balance and giving it broken abilities, like giving 60 plus an AP ratio extra resistances. Like, what were they thinking with this? Making carries have tank stats? Huh? Come on. Anyways, rant over. They're crushing Yuumi, which they should. They should. Prowling projectile. The cooldown goes down, but the cost is going to go up. The missile speed's going to go down. The damage is going to go down. Final chapter is losing the ability to buff here. And the shield that you get at the end, you're getting a 1.5 second lingering effect on the shield for your bestie. Now, big changes in the items. I want to read this because I think it's important. The 13.1 micro patch gave AD carry players a nice shot of excitement with some stronger defensive tools, plus earlier access to Nabori Quickblades and Infinity Edge. Turns out earlier access to incredibly strong items is a simple recipe for overpowered role. You've had your fun, fellow AD carry players. Time for the nerfs we all knew were coming. I disagree with this take. And especially like AD carries, their time in the sun was a couple months early in the season. Compare that to multiple years of being a kind of scuffed role to the point where mages are just better. And in general, based on how people have been playing games out, mages will get you your dragons earlier. We're going to discuss what they say later here. But I don't think that they needed particularly to get this big of a nerf. But anyways, we're going to take a peek. The Bloodthirster shield is being changed tremendously. 80 points out of it early in the game, up to, and then 50 down later. So the shields are going to be tremendously lower on Bloodthirster. Nashor's Tooth, an item for mages where they're actually getting a buff. Cost is going up. The recipe is changing slightly. And the ability haste is going up by 15. Now, ability haste for 15 for 200 gold? Yeah, sure. Could be fine. The extra cost in general is going to make these spikes a little bit worse. But most importantly, the fact that this gives haste again, and you already have, and it gives a 30% AP scaling, this is an item that you should consider on your mages, even if you're a pure spellcaster, someone like Syndra, because the extra hits that you're going for, it just adds up. It adds up. All of those hits add up. They happen in the game. You don't see them very often because they're not as shiny as like a big ball flying through the air. But these hits add up. They stack up. It already has 100 AP. It's got that beautiful AP ratio. I think Nashor's Tooth is just going to make its way into every mage build. I really do. I think you should test it out. Let me know if you find a champion that is exceptional on, like Veigar, for example, who's going to have 1,000 ability power. So your auto attacks are just going to be stronger than a marksman. So, you know, just a thought, just throwing it out there. Someone try it. Let me know how it goes in the comments. Nabori Quickblades. Now Nabori Quickblades has been the premium item, and the fact that they made it so easy to get, and some people don't realize you can even just get Nabori Quickblades and then just buy crit cloaks, especially on a champion like Neela, and it's insanely powerful. But they're nerfing it because it's just been outperforming Infinity Edge, even on champions that should be using the majority of their damage as attacks. But even when you look at someone like Tristana, It just meant having permanent uptime on your Q, which resulted in more damage than actually having Infinity Edge. So they are taking away 3% of the cooldown reduction. It's still very strong. You should still keep on playing it. Maybe we'll see some reasons to actually play Infinity Edge again. Legend Bloodline, taking away from the marksman role, right? They're really hitting this role hard. Lifesteal per stack going down by 0.05 and 15 extra health that you're losing on the max health 15 stacks. Lethal tempo being nerfed for ranged users only, so it's still better on champions like Jax, but your Caitlyn's of the world are going to get less impact. Drake changes. I want to talk about this for a little bit as well. In patch 12.14, we buffed the rewards for killing Drakes to incite some early game action after the durability update. The changes achieved this goal, but more importance on the bottom half of the map, especially during laning phase. With the recent changes to bot lane, it's almost always correct to only focus attention on the dragon and bot lane. Remove half that. Aiming for bot lane, yes, great, because you actually had carries for 2 months, where you could play Jinx and Caitlyn and actually win games, with the AD carry role, right? The one that's called carry. There's the only role. There's no other role that has carry in the title. You're supposed to be able to carry through these lanes. So I don't like that they're hitting this as hard as they are. Also, just still overvaluing the dragons, thinking that dragons are the reason to go to bot is not the reason. Like, the reason to go to bot was because marksman was a strong role again, and you can actually go and set yourself up to carry through that role. Anyways, they're taking power out of all the dragons, especially the hex tech, to normalize them about halfway between old strength and new strength. This is a nerf. I'm happy about it because it means we get to go to Baron more often, which is what you should have been doing anyways. But that's that. ARAM having some adjustments. Clash, Bilgewater Cup, they're going to make some changes, so keep in mind if you're in these time zones because of Ramadan. Normal queue, it looks like they're setting up for an April Fool's joke, so check out Blind Pick on April 1st. Behavioral systems, they're letting everybody know whether or not anyone in the game was punished, so I think it's in an attempt to show people, hey, like, we're taking this seriously. Just because you didn't report someone, we're still going to let you know that someone got reported here. Competitive changes, 25 points for climbing and falling, as long as your MMR matches your base league LP, right? Your MMR is kind of under the surface. It's the one that they're using to calculate whether or not you get your full K value, whether or not that's the 22 points, or in this case 25. As long as your MMR matches your league points, you're going to be going up and down by 25. But if your MMR is drastically different, then you're going to get weighted in one direction or another. Mythic shop rotation. We're going to get the best mythic shop I think we've ever had, so make sure to check that out. Today will be your last day to get the old ones, the KDA All Out Kaisa, the Coven Zyra, Mordekaiser, etc. I'm most excited for this Shen skin. It's going to be sick. The 32-bit clients are kaput. They're going to be gone. And then check out bug fixes. Look for your champion. If it's in here, a couple things with skins. And then check out these beauties. The Fairy Court is coming out. Probably going to be the most hyped skin line ever. Maybe after Spirit Blossom. But yeah, I think Fairy Queen's probably going to take it over, depending on the champions, right? But this is the beginning. We've got Karma, Katarina, Seraphine, Fiora, Callista, Ezreal, MILIO, Katarina, and then Ashen Guardian Shen. I was going to say for a second, what? We've got Ashen Shen is going to have a fairy skin now. Prestige Fairy Court, Katarina. This is going to make all you Cat Evolved fans big happy. And here we go, a peek at the chromas, and that's it. So what are you going to do? What do you think's strongest? What are you going to do in this patch? Well, if your answer is go to gigagamingacademy.com and use season 2023 in the promo codes, then that's the best thing you can do. I highly recommend, as much as I recommend the coaching service and like in-game portions, we have an awesome new sports psychologist. You should check him out. It's a unique experience. Everyone should try it. So again, season 2023 in the promo code, that's SEASON 2023. Check it out and catch you guys next time. Keep it surreal. Peace.